again, it was Westbrook Racing. Sarah just put on an absolute stonking clinic in her race. Gives them certainly a big heads up, but it was Aoki Racing who was very impressive in the qualifying rounds. Another impressive run in the first of those semifinals. And then Phelim Kavanaugh struggling. So this lady, Lisa Gussain, she's got to really pull one out. She's done it before with some absolutely great runs. Here we go, and what a launch if they timed it right. Lucas Adonia's own
it comes together.
A touch between second and third. Oh boy, that somebody did not stay in their lane. That is going to be really looked at closely here, and that gives Westbrook a huge margin.
That has played in beautifully into the hands of Team Westbrook, just to maximize on the performance that they already showed in the first semi-final. Going now into this first set of corners, can they maintain this lead? It's about smooth, consistent balance and efficiency through these corners. It looks pretty good so far. They've got all of that clean water, no turbulence to contend with whatsoever, where you're looking at Team Blue Rising have fallen right off the back of the pack, and it's going to be hard to come back from there.
Look at that corner by that is Michelle Lobadan, and you can see Lucas did a big wide entry into that, left a lot of clear water on the inside. She just squared up on it, does it again, comes through, and now this is going to be a boost off, I think, as they head down here side by side. We go for this lead here, and there goes the Westbrook boat. You can see Lucas, right as he turns into that tricky right-hander, goes to the boost, and Michelle Lobadan going right with him for Aoki.
Westbrook just have the upper hand at the moment, but Lucas lost a lot of time in that hairpin set of corners there. Also taking the wider line, like you said, Greg, but also then being caught up in some chop as he tried to get back on the faster racing line. And that's a very smooth corner there. Great entry, great exit. And you can see the amount of time that's been built up there. But the same can be said for Aoki Racing behind and Michelle.
Yeah, and you can see Michelle right there realized, all right, he's now got that inside line. She crossed the wake, went to the outside, looking for a little bit more of that smoother water. Still, though, losing just a little bit of ground. And as it looks like things have settled at the front just a little bit, let's go back and take a look at what happened on the start between Michelle Lobadan and Lisa Gussain Battaglia. An incredibly close moment that might have some implications on this race. Right here, look, you know, everything was fine at this point, but just watch those two boats closest to us, the white, green, and gold boat and the multicolored orange, white, and blue machine. These race birds, awfully close call.
There's very little benefit to being that close to another race bird on the start like this. It's all about maximizing the clear water. It's about maximizing the speed into the first set of corners and trying to get ahead. And if you're coming together like this, it's just going to affect both of you. And on this side of the story, it's Team Blue Rising that have been affected the most. And now they are quite a bit back in the three, whilst Team Westbrook still lead ahead. But yeah, you can see the frustration in the cockpit there.
Yeah, and that is a real concern, and I'm sure she was, you know, saying, you know, was I impinged? Was I impeded in any way? Team Blue Rising, Lisa Gussain and the team deciding smartly, this is the time. Let's do the long lap, give ourselves some nice, clear, smooth water, and try and make some time up right now. But up front, Lucas Ordonez, we have seen this, has opened up a lead of about 6.5 seconds at this point over Michelle Lobadan, and Lisa Gussain has some serious work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done there, but now we are seeing a similar story that we saw in the last semi-final when it comes to the long lap of these two leading teams, because there is less than a 10-second gap between Westbrook and Aoki, which means using that long lap might cost somewhere between 10 to 15 seconds. So it's going to be a big chance now for Aoki to push down and minimize the gap on Team Westbrook, to minimize any possibility of still not winning this race, where Team Westbrook really need to choose very wisely when they use a long lap, because at the moment they do not have the window to go in and still come out in the lead.
You know what, just showing here, we're getting word from race direction, because of that contact, the number 77 boat of Michelle Lobadan for Aoki Racing, a penalty long lap for impeding. So that's going to suddenly open that up big time for Lucas Ordonez, and that will bring Lisa Gussain right back in to potentially a second place. And a second and a third, it's going to be close to see whether there's an opportunity there.
That's music to Team Westbrook's ears, that, isn't it? You know, because it was getting really close, and there was every chance that that long lap had not, if it hadn't gone well, might have cost them the lead. But yes, now that penalty means there's an additional long lap for Team Aoki, which is going to cost them a lot of time, and maybe even an opportunity for Team Blue Rising. With only having to do one long lap, which they've already done, to bridge that gap and maybe even push for a second position.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out, because that is going to be crucial here. But you have to do, when you get that penalty, as you said, it's an additional long lap. And depending upon the severity of the penalty, it can be 2 additional long laps. I mean, they can, make that judgment call. But as we watch here, Lucas Ordonez complete lap number 3. Fastest lap of the race, turned by him, no surprise, at a 1:38.4, well quicker than Michelle or Lisa Gassain-Battaglia. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You can see now Michelle down into the final complex of corners here, those smart marks, and we'll talk a little bit more about them. They are pretty amazing tech in their own right here, and it's going to be interesting to see when does that long lap for Michelle happen, the penalty long lap.
Exactly, and the hometown hero of Lisa doing very well to just improve timings throughout this, her own timings throughout this semi-final. And now, look at the gap between Aoki Racing and Blue Rising. It's shortened down to very much within the window of the time lost for going in the long lap. And Aoki have one additional long lap to do, with Blue Rising having done theirs out of the way, ready now just to try and hammer down and secure that second position, because it's possible, Greg.
Oh, it is absolutely possible. And Westbrook Racing, Lucas Ordonez, with that margin they had at this stage, he has now completed his mandatory long lap, and he will still have plenty of room for him to be able to continue on here. And he did that on his 4th lap. So he'll come through, one more lap to go after this one, but he comes through and maintains all of that clear water. But we are definitely seeing, you talked about the winds, we're starting to see just a little, it's not chopped necessarily, but you can see that it's getting stirred up now.
Yeah, slightly more tricky conditions to contend with, but hopefully that would have been spotted in advance by the spotters, by the rest of the team, and they would have tweaked that strategy, maybe some of the setup, in order to combat that.
All right, and here's the story. Lisa Gassain-Battaglia now, as Michelle Lobadan has done that second long lap, it is completed. It is a 3.8 second margin between second and third. There it is. Lisa, 14 Blue Rising, has that lead, and there's Michelle Lobadan. And you talked about it. Lisa has been improving her laps, and she just needs to stay there to give them any type of a shot here. And for Aoki Racing, obviously a second and a third. It's going to be interesting because both of them will have seconds and thirds, and then it will go to the combined time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the judgment is at the end of this one. Looks pretty solid right now, obviously, for Lucas Ordonez. Plenty of margin, but here's the battle that is really of concern. But look at, I just look up at Westbrook, Lucas boosting on, man. He is just, I'm going to dominate this one. And you want to do that even when you have a big lead. Why? Data, information, right?
Absolutely, and as the conditions change, it's data in different conditions, which is really useful for not just the rest of today, but the rest of the season as well. Team Westbrook, just, round of applause, because they have come in with one less race of experience than anybody else and hit the ground running so well. Will Smith, team owner, will be ecstatic about this performance today.
Well, he talked about in the video, his introductory video, they wanted to make a splash. They have. There's no question about that. And if this margin that Lucas has right now stays, and a second penalty long lap for Michelle Lobadan. I'm not sure if that was part of the original penalty or whether something else has gone wrong. But for Ordonez, he is cruising.
I'm not sure they had done their penalty long lap yet. I think that they'd left their first one later on. I think that now they've done both. All right. This is more reflective of where they are, but it just shows how close it was within the one lap. And Sarah Price there, the Team Westbrook, happy about this unbelievable performance from Lucas.
Lucas comes through, gets the win. Look at the intensity. He is loving this, and that's a 30. Officially a third. Well, at this point we'll have to wait and see, but Lisa is doing what she needed to do here. She just turned a 1:42.1 on her last lap. That was quicker than Ordonez. She has found it. The local Monegas driver has found it on her last lap and has stretched that margin over Michelle Lobadan. And wow, what a story here. And there you go. There was a second long lap penalty assigned. It was for dangerous driving as well, and that may have just been that impeding, and they decided it needed to be a 2-lap penalty instead of 1. But what a story for for the local driver to be able to fight back like that. But I'm looking at the margin of victory here. Check this out. When you combine what Lucas did with what I recall Sarah doing, about a 50-second combined margin of victory in 2 semifinals. Westbrook Racing is hooked up.
That's some serious performance there. Whatever they've been able to tap into, whether it being strategy, whether it being prop choice, whether it being a kind of a use of the trim to work for both of them, it's just worked exceptionally well today in the races.